Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Andy's Crypto Talk here tonight, and I'm just doing a quick Valentine's Day stream. Am I gonna get a chance to share it? Maybe not. Let me just pop the share real quick. Hopefully this doesn't start playing. Okay, yeah, perfect. The share real quick. Okay, so some crazy stuff happened today. Regardless, I think we're still in a good place for crypto as a whole, and BTC is looking like it's about to turn up. This lower sort of projection is what I had laid out for you guys, to touch this bottom end and then continue on up if it wouldn't continue just straight from there. So we're just really still waiting for this to play out. Above sort of 98K is starting to look very good, and above 101 and 105 is just better and better. So keeping an eye on BTC for those moves. Realistically, everything else is going to be tied into that. We can see BTC dominance is now taking a bit of a sit down, and same with USDT.D. So I think we'd like to see that kind of clip down through there, like this green line that I was sort of showing. But yeah, I mean, stocks are strong, up at all-time highs. VIX is pumping back down. It had a couple, another little sort of revolt here, and then it's going back down. The dollar, even, this is actually a really good sign that we didn't want to see it above this red line. We saw it kind of crawling above that red line. It's from sort of mid-December to now to February, and we're now going back underneath it. So just looking at the macro things, I think the picture's starting to look a lot better than it was a couple weeks ago. But of course, just keeping an eye on those sort of macro factors that we talk about. This is the big thing of today. As you guys can see on my little YouTube thumbnail, this dropped. It did a full market cycle in one day, 94.72%. It actually launched at about, I think, 128 mil, and it's down to 181. So it's up 30% if you got in on launch. Most people obviously got in on this run up to 4.5 bill, and looking like Argentina did do a big rug. So what I was saying really in the video sort of start there, I was saying to buy a crypto hedge fund instead. Oh, let's do it this way. So I think we're at an interesting point here with Citadail, because if you look at this chart, and I was trying to look at find the picture. It's like there's a test pump and then a real pump sort of image that goes around for, it was originally intended for meme coins, but I mean, it can work for all sort of crypto altcoins, things like of that nature. So realistically, like, I think this right here was the test pump, and then now we're correcting. We're seeing, do the strong holders hold, or does this completely just die out? And we see that if you were to look inside the community for Citadail, that they're working. They're still working. Am I looking at the wrong screen? Oh my god. We're looking at the totally wrong screen the whole time. That's unreal. I'm so sorry, guys. That sucked. Holy crap, that sucked. Okay, well, let's start over. Welcome to Andy's Crypto Talk, and I'm going to go over the market real quick here. Okay, let's go over the market real quick. Just what I quickly talked about. So we'll kind of do it in reverse. So dollar dropping, VIX dropping. It's underneath this red line. We said that's an important line to pay attention to. Stocks ripping at all-time highs, and meanwhile crypto has been kind of lagging behind, right? So I think that BTC is looking really good, and we had sort of a look at this. Actually, we showed this out as well. So yeah, I mean, that's not too bad of a projection that we had out there. But better yet, this was kind of the recent most projection that we did on a stream, where it tags this bottom and then continues on up. It did dip a lot lower than I anticipated, but that having been said, it looks like we're starting to move on up. And again, we're talking about sort of over 98.5, we're looking good. 102, we're looking even better. 105, we're looking best for continuation to the upside. Solana, of course, I think personally, paying attention to all of these tokens when BTC continues. I think alts are going to move up quite significantly on the next push, but that having been said, I would just kind of keep an eye out for the alts once BTC starts moving. So yeah, I mean, BTC dominance taking a dip, and USDT.D taking a dip as well. So sorry I didn't have that pulled up. I was just trying to do a quick live today, and I got a little distracted while setting it all up. Either way, again, so we were looking at, this is you know, my thumbnail there, Argentina token launch about 128, ripped out to 4.5 billion, now sitting at 181 mil. It's basically, it's over. It's a rug. Let me skip these lyric songs. Where are we? These have some lyrics. So I just want to get past those so I can talk without any other talking in the background. So I said, instead of buying this, you could focus on buying something like Citadail, because buying tops is not in your best interest, but buying bottoms can lead to some major profit. And I know, okay, so it's a little messy. I know my charts can get a little messy here. Let me get rid of this stochastic and the RSI, because they're really not that important right now. One thing I really wanted to note is this. So looking at the squeeze of the daily Bollinger Bands, I think there's volatility coming soon. And it's going to be major volatility because these are squeezing really tight. So, you know, going down to something like the 4 hour, because that just gives me a better resolution. And let me take those off, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So pulling this up to take a look at what's kind of going to happen next, or what we can expect next. So this dip down low, like this is the complacency shoulder, and then we have anxiety, denial, panic, all the way down to anger happening right here. And then we have this pullback up in anger to continue down further to here, and then a pullback up. You know, it didn't quite pull back up to this range, but this is just this doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. And then having this kind of outward downslope, constant downslope, that looks just like this. Like if you were looking at a fractal of what's happening to us here, it's this right here, leading into depression. So this is the area I believe now we're in. I thought we were in depression before, back when we were here, and I was like, this is right here, you know, January 30th. I was like, this dip right here, that's depression, and then we're gonna come out and come up. But it looks like this was actually still to play out, and so now we're seeing that fractalization between anger and depression. So I think once we see this push back up to sort of this range, let's see, let me click out so I can see. So back into this sort of 5 mil range, and then kind of sit there for a few days, and then see a move out. I think you look for it to happen kind of like this. Again, Wyckoff accumulation, just to show you like it's similar patternization. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it gets this spring, which is I believe what we just had, this lower low off of support that pops up and up into the halfway point, like I just said, about 5 mil, then up above all of this, right, up above all of this, which technically, you know, it could be up above this. That's really when we see this W, and then we know the accumulation's done. So that could happen between sort of 8 and 20 mil is where we see a nice W form and move on up. So a couple things that I've been looking at on Citadel here, and I have these box ranges. So this is the previous range, and we're sitting right on that midpoint of it. Now that is potentially very bullish. We're also sitting on this low that was created before the rip to all-time highs. So this is also a very key moment or key point in the chart. I mean, this chart, technically, it can go down further, but I just don't see it going much further than this. There's really nowhere else for it to go. And at this point, the amount of buys it takes to move this chart up even 100% is so small and negligible. That's why we saw this happen with not even the biggest thing. It was just like an interview. I mean, it was a huge interview. I'll say that at least. It was Mario Nawfal, right? So we saw this pump from 2.5 to 7.5, basically a 3x overnight, or during the day. I forget what it was. I think it was probably during the day, right? So massive pump, and I mean, if you look at it, we don't even have the volume, so let's just pull up volume. And this is kind of the last thing I'm gonna talk about, just because this is crazy. So it only took 1 million in volume to basically move it up 3x. All right. Now, out of that million in volume, you can see, buy and sell volume is usually fairly similar. I bet you during that million buy and sell volume, we maybe had an extra 100K, maybe 200K tops of buy pressure that moved it up that way. So that's just the one thing I'll leave it off on, is that the amount of buys that it takes to move this up significantly is not as much as you would think. See, this candle right here that moved up 86% from, about 4 mil to 10 mil in one 4-hour candle. That was 1.6 mil in volume, which again is probably a few $100,000 worth of buys over sells. It's really negligible. So that's what I would look to see as well in the volume chart, is just some spiking up in the volume to start another run. And that's why, again, we're looking at that through the Bollinger Bands. We're seeing the same thing that happened here. Look, I was talking about this. It's squeezing. It's squeezed really tight here. Okay, on the 4-hour, it still hasn't squeezed super tight. So I kind of I drop it down from the 1 day. I can see the 1 day squeezing nicely. We are seeing it kind of roll on the bottom end. which we would like to see that start popping up and squeezing upwards as well. But then looking at something like the 12-hour, squeezing tightly, and the 8-hour as well. You know, it's squeezed here, and now it's you know, showing some volatility. When it gets squeezed like that, it starts showing volatility. Now it happened to show volatility to the downside from about 5 mil down to 2.5, right? So a 50% drop, which again, it's like how much lower can it really go, right? 2.9 mil, it's not going to go that much lower. It's going to go up from here at some point. And when it goes up, it'll really start to accelerate, and it won't take much buy pressure to move this thing way higher. So anyways, guys, when in doubt, zoom out. You know, keep an eye on the accumulation and psychology of a Wall Street cheat sheet. Just because, again, I'm seeing this. Let me take these Bollinger Bands and the Drungs off again. I'm seeing this playing out, right? Like, this is a fractal of this right here. And so now we're looking for this fractal to come out. You know, if we were to anticipate where price goes, again, I'm saying between sort of the 8 mil to the spike up could be over 20 mil, right? So maybe 8 mil to 20 mil for this sort of next leg. And, you know, I think 10 mil psychological resistance is going to be fairly important to break through. So just keeping an eye on those, and we'll catch you guys in the next live stream. I'm out for tonight. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and sorry about the fuck up right at the beginning.